Hi everybody, my name is Brady, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I had another video planned for today, but I accidentally released it at midnight a couple days ago, so we gotta throw something else together. One of you in the comments said I should do the 16 personalities test, which I thought would be fun. It's kind of in the vein of what I'm doing on Saturdays. Plus, Bird Mom has been wanting me to do this for a little while, so I thought this could be fun. So this gives you like a set of letters that represent like what you. All I know is the first one, introvert, extrovert, but there's a few others, and there's a lot of nuance to it, and it tries to encapsulate your personality type. I've never really put too much stock into this sort of thing, but I always found this to be at least a decent way of like broadly describing one's personality. I've always found it to be pretty good. I took this back when I was in, I don't know, freshman year in high school, so not this test. It was a totally different version. I believe this one's far more sophisticated. So if you want to take the test yourself, I put the link in the description box below. So without further ado, let's get it started. Take the test. Very excited. All right, free personality test. Fast and easy. Takes less than 12 minutes. Okay, that's good. Be yourself. Answer honestly, even if you don't like the answer. I will do my best. And complete it all. Try not to leave any neutral answers. I don't know. I'm a true neutral. I've always thought of that. Like if I were to be on an alignment chart, I always felt like I was a bit closer to neutral than anything else. It's just how I always thought my personality was. But we'll do our best. We'll try to feel strongly about things if we can. All right. The first one. You enjoy vibrant social events with lots of people. No, I'm definitely going to be on the introverted side. I see that. Although I get on camera on a daily basis and like to talk to people in this like very disconnected way, I'm not a very outgoing dude generally. So I would say I disagree somewhat strongly. I do enjoy going to wrestling shows and stuff, and those can be like vibrant and whatever, but that's like more the exception than the rule to my personality. You often spend time exploring unrealistic yet intriguing ideas. Yeah, I get caught get caught up daydreaming about stuff all the time. Imagining futures that are completely unrealistic for myself often. Your travel plans are more likely to look like a rough list of ideas than a detailed itinerary. I don't know. I'm not big on travel. I do like to have a little bit of order to things, but I also like a little bit of room to improvise, so I don't know exactly where that leaves me. I guess I'll put myself on very small agree, little bit agree, not a lot of agree. Yeah, I haven't. Oh, I was strong on this one, but the other two, I feel like I'm going to be much more moderate on a lot of these things. You often think about what you should have said in a conversation long after it has taken place. That is true. Sometimes I wish I was more abrasive. Sometimes I wish I've taken the low road a little bit more often, and that's usually where I go in my head, where I have these interactions where I wish I said something rude to somebody. That's usually what I will fixate on in my head. I'm very passive, and if I have a negative interaction with somebody, I'll just do my best to get out of there, but I'll spend the next few days thinking, oh, I really wish I told them to F off or something. I always think about that. So I strongly agree. If your friend is sad about something, your first instinct is to support them emotionally, not try to solve their problem. That's interesting. At first I'll be like, is there anything I can do? So the first thing I'll be like, is there anything I can do, and kind of assess if this is something that needs to be fixed or if the problem just needs to work itself out. So I think at first it's good to say, okay, is there a direct fix to this, but not fixate too much on forcing a problem to be fixed, because sometimes things need to linger. Sometimes people need to be sad. People need to deal with their emotions, because we're people. We have emotions, and repressing them is not good. I have to tell myself that sometimes. Sometimes it's just okay to feel things. So my first instinct is to support them emotionally. I guess I will say medium agree there. There is that like little bit here where I'm like, okay, is there an immediate solution to this problem? So I can't put myself all the way over on this side, but I think that's a fair place to put it. People can rarely upset you. I'll slightly disagree on that. Although I am a pretty sensitive dude, things can get to me. I'm also very... It's very selective, I guess. There are a lot of things that just go over my head. Water off a duck's back, as they say. In situations where people around me may get upset by something, I'm just like, let it go. I think I let things go a little bit more than I should sometimes. You often rely on other people to be the ones to start a conversation and keep it going. I feel a little mixed on this. Often, I will assess who I am in a social situation. Sometimes I feel like I am the most extroverted amongst a group of introverts. In that case, I feel like I will come off as an extrovert, and I can start the conversation and keep it going, and I kind of get introverts sometimes, and sometimes that helps me keep the conversation going with those people. But I would say I do agree with this, that I will often rely on people who are a little bit more outgoing than me. But I only agree a little here. I really wish I was a little bit more radical, like all the way to the left or all the way to the right on more of these. But there's so much nuance to any of these questions, and it's hard to compartmentalize myself as a human being in that sense. If you have to temporarily put your plans on hold, you make sure it is your top priority to get back on track as soon as possible. I don't know. Sometimes I put things on hold and I don't touch them again for months. That's kind of what happens. I have trouble focusing on more than one thing at a time. I will fixate on a single thing and go hard on it, but if I lose my groove, sometimes I'll have to start over. Sometimes I am not motivated enough to get back to it, so it's hard to say. I'll say I small disagree there. You rarely worry if you made a good impression on someone you met. I strongly disagree. I always hope that I am presenting the best version of myself to people, although I will sometimes, when talking to people, I'll be like, I don't care what people think about me. Like, I am who I am. I'll do that, but in fact, rather than not giving an F, I give many Fs. I care very much about what people think about me, even though a lot of how I present myself may not always indicate such, but I am often trying. Sometimes I'm a little clueless, though. That is definitely always going to hold me back a little bit in those first impression moments. It would be a challenge for you to spend the whole weekend all by yourself without feeling bored. I have a very small group of people I like to be around, and typically I like to be alone. However, when Bird Mom goes away for a while, I get sad. I get sad and lonely, and I try to give the bird as much attention as possible, and that's kind of one way that I deal with that sort of thing. But I can deal with it, I would say. I can deal with it slightly, but, only a little. Only a little. You are more of a detail-oriented person than a big-picture person. Yes, hello. You are more of a detail-oriented than a big-picture person. I like details. I like details. Details are cool. Medium agree there. So sometimes I get stuck on the big picture and I don't even... Yes, I know. You want to join me? You want to join me today? No? He does. He's coming with us. Yippee. Okay, you are very affectionate with people you care about. I think sometimes I can come off as a little distant, and I don't mean to. Oh, and he pooped. Yeah, I come off as distant, and I don't really mean to, and I've always seen that as a big flaw in my personality, but it's always what has come natural to me, and I always try to go for what comes naturally to me than trying to force through something. But sometimes you have to present you present yourself in a way that doesn't always feel natural in order to convey what you really feel, because people don't always understand you as you are. I guess it's weird. You want to always be yourself, but you also want to be understood by other people, and sometimes those things don't work together, at least not in my personal experience. If I am just being myself, I'm this rather distant, cold person, and I kind of... Yep. So, I'll put a medium disagree there, and I'm not happy about that one. All right, we're 20% done. You have a careful and methodical approach to life. You know, I'd say yeah. I've gone through the system. I go through school. I have my long-term goals. Even with YouTube, I've at first didn't really put too much thought into it, but now I have long-term ideas for things I want to do down the line. And yeah, I would say I can be kind of methodical. You are still bothered by the mistakes you made a long time ago. Yeah, that's a strong agree. Even the little stupid interactions. I had this one case where I thought somebody was trying to give me a fist bump, and I fist bumped them, and no, they weren't. It was just an awkward situation. And I'll fixate on something stupid like that, like somebody just had their hand somewhere, and I fist bumped them, and I'm like, what? What are you doing, weirdo? I don't know. Like little things like that. And if little things like that bother me, the bigger things are definitely going to bother me, just constantly. And what do? Repress them. Hold them deep down into my subconscious. Because, honestly, the things that I've gotten past, I can't really change what's been done. And feeling bad for them, honestly, doesn't do anything for me, because I'm a very different person from a lot of the things that I feel a little bit weird about. So it's hard for me to let go, but I know it's healthy to. At parties and similar events, you can mostly be found farther away from the action. Yeah, I agree. I don't love being the center of attention. I get bashful. But sometimes it really depends on my mood. Everybody has those days where they're gonna behave a little bit differently. Some communities, some people you're around, you're willing to open yourself up to. But as a general rule, I am mostly kind of a wall hugger when it comes to gatherings. You often find it difficult to relate to people who let their emotions guide them. Yeah. I'll put a medium there. I am big into trying to understand people's rationale for their decisions. I will put a lot of effort into trying to figure them out. So I end up often empathizing with people that I really, really disagree with on how they approach things. Sometimes I'll just do the devil's advocate thing in my head. But it doesn't mean I always successfully understand them. But I always try. So that's why I can't really put it all the way. I'm just not very good at understanding people sometimes. So I'll get mixed results. When looking for a movie to watch, you can spend ages browsing the catalog. Yes. I think that's a pretty normal thing for a lot of people these days. I don't know if that's not... And it's weird because we have, like... so many options. Sometimes I'd rather just spend time looking at all the options I have than even watching it. Sometimes I feel like I get more value out of that somehow. I couldn't possibly explain it to you, though. You can stay calm under a lot of pressure. I'll put a medium disagree. Sometimes I have moments where I can keep cool, but overall I freak out when I don't know what to order at the drive-through window. So yeah, staying calm is not my best feature. It's not the best element of my character. When in a group of people you do not know, you have no problem jumping right into their conversation. Strongly disagree. Nah, medium disagree. Because I have had some moments where I have been able to jump into people's conversations, but when I do, I feel surprised with myself that I managed to do that. But it's weird. Like, I'm an introvert on the inside, but sometimes I can fake it well enough to where I can convince myself maybe I'm more of an extrovert than I used to be. When you sleep, your dreams tend to be bizarre and fantastical. I can't remember the last time I had a clear dream. I had some weird dreams when I was younger, but now they're so mundane at this point that there's really nothing worth speaking of there. In your opinion, it is sometimes okay to step on others to get ahead in life. I would never want to live that way. To a certain degree, I understand how the current system and the way everything works, how some people end up like that, but I personally do not want to live like that. I don't feel like I've ever stepped on anybody to get ahead. However, I'm not very much ahead. I rarely do get ahead, so maybe if I started stepping on more people, I would get ahead, but that's not how I would want to do it. I often get stuck on how I get to a place rather than getting to that place. The journey is way more important, I suppose. You are dedicated and focused on your goals, only rarely getting sidetracked. Strong disagree. I'm constantly getting sidetracked. I am so indecisive. While I do fixate on particular things, it's very easy to get me off on something else, doing some other sort of project. I'm surprised I've stuck with this YouTube channel as long as I have. If it wasn't as successful as it has been thus far, I probably would be off doing something else right now. If you make a mistake, you tend to start doubting yourself, your abilities, and your knowledge. Yes, I have a lot of trouble trusting in my own knowledge. I know that my memory's not very good, and I'm a history dude, which is an unfortunate combination of things. History guy with bad memories, not very good. So I get very self-conscious about what I do and don't know. In a lot of my videos, in my earlier videos, I tried to come off as a little bit more confident, but as my videos went on, I'm much more open about how uncertain I am about things, and I feel better about that than I did on my earlier ones, where I was trying to present perhaps a smarter version of myself than there really was. When at a social event, you rarely try to introduce yourself to new people, and mostly talk to the ones you already know. I'll agree with that. I'm not good at meeting new people. You usually lose interest in a discussion when it gets philosophical. Sometimes I feel like really pretentious when I get into a philosophical conversation with somebody. It's like, why am I thinking so deep right now? I'm just trying to have a conversation. But I also feel like I thrive in those conversations, but I will feel self-conscious along the way. So, no, wait, I disagree. I do keep interest, but I'll feel a little weird about it. There we go. You would never let yourself cry in front of others. I will say that usually no. I'll say it's it's a small agree here, and not out of any sense of pride or anything. I just have trouble expressing myself emotionally, and I cry very rarely. But when I cry, just a waterfall. It builds up, and then it just explodes, and that's how it is. So I'd say I very rarely cry in general, let alone in front of people. But it's not like I'm morally opposed to crying in front of people. It's just how it works out with me. You feel more drawn to places with bustling and busy atmospheres than more quiet and intimate ones. I kind of like something in the middle. I don't like it to be too quiet or too busy. So I'll say that I slightly disagree here because I lean more towards the quiet. But sometimes if it's too quiet, I get bored, you know? I like going to school where there are people, but I also will like hug the wall and not really interact with people. It's like I like to be alone but with people. It's that sort of thing. You like discussing different views and theories on what the world could look like in the future. Yeah, I have these conversations all the time. It's kind of in the same vein as the philosophical one. I feel a little bit more comfortable in these sorts of conversations. Yeah. When it comes to making life-changing choices, you mostly listen to your heart rather than your head. I think... You know what? I feel like I've listened to my heart a decent amount. Like, people don't decide to be liberal arts majors listening to their head. They don't do that thinking like, I'm gonna make a ton of money. So while I have handled forming my future in a rather rational way, I do it knowing that I'm doing it because I love it, not because it's the best thing for my future financially or anything like that. I don't have that level of security. So, although I was leaning towards my head when I was reading the question, the more I think about it, I actually listen to my heart more than I thought. Yeah, I'll say medium heart, with a little bit of room for head in the middle there. You cannot imagine yourself dedicating your life to a study of something that you cannot see, touch, or experience. I strongly disagree. I study history, and although it has a very human, relatable element to it, you can never re-experience history. While history has elements that repeat itself, it doesn't literally repeat itself, so you can't re-experience it. However, there are a lot of tangible things that you deal with there, so I could construe the question to work like that, but I'll say there's a lot of things that I can't necessarily see, touch, or experience that I would find interesting in studying. I would find... I always thought science was so interesting, and while there's a lot in science you can experience, there's a lot of abstract stuff that we're still just learning, and I don't think we'll learn in my lifetime, but I would find that absolutely fascinating. And if I felt more comfortable with that sort of work, just because I would have trouble experiencing a lot of it, I know it wasn't even the best example, but it wouldn't stop me from trying. You usually prefer to get your revenge rather than forgive. Strong disagree. I'm bigger into letting things go. Although, in my head, like I said earlier, I will wish that I took the low road. In practice, this is how everything usually works. You often make decisions on a whim. I will do a small agree there. I will think about things for a long time, but without anything really pushing me, anything in particular pushing me in one direction or another, I'll just be like, F it, we're doing it. We're doing this. Same thing with a lot of my tattoos. It was like that. I think about a whole bunch of ideas, and then I wake up one day and I'm like, I'm calling the tattoo artist. I'm doing this. That's kind of how it's gone. It's kind of a mix. That's why I can't really go too strongly on that. The time you spend by yourself often ends up being more interesting and satisfying than the time you spend with others. Honestly, I medium disagree on this, weirdly enough. Although I prefer spending time by myself in a lot of cases, the few times where I do interact with people, I find a lot of meaning in it. I find a lot of value in that sort of stuff. Although it's not where I'm comfortable. Maybe it's the fact that if these things are happening, I am getting out of my comfort zone. So that's why it hits so much more. Although I am happy to go back into my shell afterwards, every once in a while when I do have these positive interactions with people, they're important to me. And I'll remember them much more than a lot of the time that I spent alone. You often put special effort into interpreting the real meaning or message of a song or movie. Yeah, I'll put medium agree. Like, I do that. I don't fixate on it too much. It depends on the film, I guess. Sometimes I'll look at a film and I'll be like, I don't think the creators wanted me to really stress myself out trying to figure out the meaning of this. Sometimes I'll watch YouTube videos where they talk about the meaning behind certain things in movies. But my personal time spent doing it, I'd say moderate. Probably about as much as anybody else who puts thought into that. You always know exactly what you want. Strong disagree. I don't know what I want ever. While I will try for things and I will think that I want them, if I get there and I'm like, oh, this isn't what was going to make me happy, I'll feel sort of lost. Yeah, I don't know. There's a million paths I can take, could have taken, and I don't know what would have been best for me. I don't know if the path I'm on is what's best for me. I'm absolutely lost in this world. No idea, dude. I'm just kind of taking it as it goes. You rarely think back on the choices you made and wonder what you could have done differently. Disagree. I always think about what I could have done differently. It's really stressful when you get stuck on that stuff, but I do. It's how it is. When in a public space, you usually stick to a quieter, less crowded area. Yes, I will do that. While I will interact with people when it feels right, I will typically find comfort in the quieter places. And I like to be able to be on the outside and observe a situation. If I do want to get involved in conversation, I want to be like an outside observer for a little bit and find the time where I feel comfortable to jump into an interaction. But generally, I'm down with hugging the wall, and it's nothing against the people I'm around. I don't necessarily dislike them. That's not why I'm staying away from them. It's just because I'm awkward and weird. You tend to focus on present realities rather than possible futures. Strong disagree. Medium disagree. I do. I feel like I said something like this and I gave a slightly different answer, but I guess that's what these things do. That's why they ask you similar questions, so they'll find little subtleties that cause you to find nuance in it. I don't know. I kind of focus on what's going on now, so I don't know. Sometimes I get caught up in what I'm doing, and I will do my best to continue to do well in what I'm doing, but I definitely think about the future a lot. And I always try to imagine the best possible future for myself. And I guess now is a means to get there. And it better be good, because I'm spending a lot of time now trying to get there. You tend to focus on... Yeah, I'll say that. You often have a hard time understanding other people's feelings. Uh, Strong agree. I try my best. I really do, but everyone's different. And I have trouble understanding my own feelings. And even if I did understand my own feelings, that doesn't mean they're the same as your feelings. Yeah, everybody's different. I wouldn't claim to understand what other people think. Yeah. When starting to work on a project, you prefer to make as many decisions up front as possible. Typically, yes. I like to get a good. It's weird because I want to have a good framework up front, but sometimes I'll get so stuck up in making like preemptive decisions that the main project doesn't even get done. So I'd say I am more productive when I'm impulsive, but I lean towards not being impulsive. That's how it is. So I'll say there, but yeah, sometimes you just gotta do it, despite the fact that you want to be all prepared for everything, put everything you can into this. If planning stops you from even trying, then what was the point of all the planning? I've found that to be a thing because I've fixated on so many projects and then just not done anything with them. That's kind of how a lot of my stuff has gone. When you know someone thinks highly of you, you also wonder how long it will be until they become disappointed in you. Ooh. Medium, yes. I am very proud of myself when somebody tells me that they're proud of me or that they're happy for me or they like what I do. I definitely get very it means a lot to me, but it's also that fear that goes away because you get that good feeling and you think, oh, this is great. I don't want to live without this. I don't want to live without people being proud of me and people being happy. What if this went the other direction? I don't think I could deal with that, and I'll end up thinking about stuff like that. So yeah, you feel comfortable just walking up to someone you find interesting and starting a conversation. Strongly disagree. I don't want to bother people. I really try my best not to bother people, and I'm a little self-conscious about that as well. You often drift away into daydreaming about various ideas and scenarios. I'd say yes. One man's daydreaming is another man's brainstorming. I'm trying to make moves and stuff, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. Sometimes it's daydreaming because it never manifests into anything. So, yeah, it's daydreaming until you do something about it, in which case it retroactively becomes brainstorming. You look after yourself first, and others come in second. That's interesting. I guess I haven't really thought about this. Am I net selfless or net selfish? I feel like I have looked after myself, and I've put myself before others before, and it's never something you want to say. It's never something you say with pride, but I feel like I would like to be a little bit more unselfish, but I guess that's where I fall. I'm light selfish. Even when you have planned a particular daily routine, you usually just end up doing what you feel like at any given moment. Strong agree. Medium agree. Sometimes I do things just because I feel like I'm supposed to do them. Like, I'll make a video schedule because it keeps me productive. There might be a day where I'm feeling more enthusiastic about doing it than other things, but I keep myself on a schedule to keep myself productive and to keep myself from giving up on what I'm working on. I think routines are important, but it's also good to give in to your whims. Yeah. Your mood can change very quickly. I agree. A little. I think I have a decent grasp of my emotions, but there are some things that can definitely set me off. But overall, I'll say it's kind of light on that. I'll actually do light disagree. It takes a little bit to get me to like have like mood swings or whatever. You often contemplate the reasons for human existence, or the meaning of life. I don't know. Does there have to be a reason? I guess I haven't really put serious thought into it in a long time. I guess not really. Not at all. I don't like to think of everything as having like a defined meaning, but like maybe everybody has their own little meanings among everything else. Who says anything has to have a meaning? Am I right? You often talk about your own feelings and emotions. I mean, I'm doing that now, but typically I reserve that. Like I don't want to talk about them too much. Every once in a while, yes, but I would say more often than not, I keep my feelings to myself. I should be a little bit more open, but sometimes it's difficult. You've got detailed education or career development plans stretching several years into the future. Agree. That's just objective there. I don't even have to think about that. You rarely dwell on your regrets. Medium disagree. I will dwell on things. But I will also try to hold them down, push them into my subconscious. Because I can't change those things. If I want to be better, it's good to think about them a little bit, but also, if you dwell on them after you're already doing better, like, then there's really no point. Spending time in a dynamic atmosphere with lots of people around quickly makes you feel drained and in need of a getaway. Yes. I get emotionally, physically drained rather quickly. You see yourself as more of a realist than a visionary. I guess I'm leaning realist, but I'd say I got like a little bit of visionary in me. I mean, you don't try to create things without having some sort of vision. I think that's kind of where history comes into play here. It's very concrete, but sometimes people don't recognize the little degree of imagination that goes into it. Especially in writing. There's just a little bit there. Like, everything's more or less supposed to be grounded in facts, but there's something with any writer, fiction or nonfiction, there's a degree of imagination that goes into it. So I'll reserve myself a little bit of room. I can't say I completely agree. You find it easy to empathize with a person who has gone through something you never have. Strong. I'll say medium disagreement because I try really hard to empathize with people. But it's still difficult. It's difficult. You can never really understand what you haven't been through, but you can try very hard to put yourself in their shoes. But it's good to recognize when you can't fully understand them. You might be able to empathize with them a little bit, but it's never perfect. Your personal work style is closer to spontaneous bursts of energy than organized and consistent efforts. I'd like to think of myself as consistent. I'll do medium disagree. I think I'm consistent. But I do have little bursts of energy, but usually that's out of necessity. I do my best work under pressure, but I try not to get to the point where I'm constantly under pressure, but it inevitably ends up happening because although I'm consistent, I also am human, so I procrastinate like everybody else. Your emotions control you more than you control them. I think I'll go with medium disagree. I don't know. I'm not sure about that one. After a long and exhausting week, a fun party is just what you need. Disagree. If I'm having a long, exhausting week, leave me alone. I want to take a nap. You frequently find yourself wondering how technological advancement could change everyday life. I wouldn't say. I think of it a little, just a little bit. Um, I don't know. I don't think of it a whole bunch, but yeah, I'll give it a little agree, tiny agree. You always consider how your actions might affect other people before doing something. Sometimes I don't realize how my actions can affect other people. Um, so I don't want to say always. It says always, so I guess I have to disagree, and I'll do a small disagree. Sometimes I just don't realize how my actions will affect other people, and it's not like I don't feel guilty afterwards. And I try to consider how my actions would affect others, but sometimes it just goes over my head how this could upset somebody or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You still offer. Sorry, you still honor the commitments you have made, even if you have a change of heart. I would say, yeah. If it's, yeah, yeah, yeah. One of these two. I don't know. Yeah. I haven't been in a position where it's like my commitment has, my change of heart on a commitment would like really morally compromise me. I usually don't make commitments on stuff that are like that serious. So I'm willing to strongly agree on that. You rarely feel insecure. Strong disagree. I'm constantly insecure. That's like my main personality trait. Just a moment. We're doing it, guys. I think this is it. All right. Okay, INTP. Bird Mom. Hey, Bird Mom. Bird Mom. Bird Mom. What was yours?
INFP.
Yours.
Mediator.
Okay, yours is INFP. Does it have another letter at the end?
T.
T. Okay, mine is INTPT. I am a logician. Ooh, okay. All right. I am 79% introverted rather than extroverted. That still makes sense. I have a little bit of room here to be an extrovert, and I can break it out if I need to. I'm almost even on energy. Intuitive, observant. Okay, that's fine. This train is okay. Nature. I'm thinking. These are close. We got 50-40 splits in like 3 different categories back to back, but I'm intuitive, thinking, and prospecting. This trait reflects our approach to work, planning, and okay, got it. And identifying. Turbulent. Oh, that sounds great. Hopefully they have more for us here. We would like to send us the email results before you start reading. No thanks. I don't really want to send. I don't really want my email thing going to anyone. Introduction. I'm not going to spend the whole time reading like this whole thing here. But I will take a quick look at the introduction. The logician personality type is fairly rare. Oh, really? Making up only 3% of the population, which is definitely a good thing for them, as there's nothing they'd be more unhappy about than being common. Okay. I have had hipster tendencies, so I think that makes sense. I hate my hipster tendencies, but that's like such a hipster thing to do. A self-hating hipster is like that. It's kind of redundant. Logician pride themselves on their inventiveness and creativity, their unique perspective and vigorous intelligence. Vigorous. Okay. Usually known as the philosopher, the architect, or the dreamy professor. Hoo-hoo. I think there's something in my future there. I don't think that's what they mean by that. Logicians have been responsible for many scientific discoveries throughout history. Okay, we're going to look at some of these other things here. Strengths and weaknesses. Great analyst, an abstract thinker, imaginative and original, open-minded. I hope I'm open-minded. I try to be. Enthusiastic. Yep. Objective. Oof, that's important in my field. A lot of this makes sense. I get it. Honest and straightforward. I hope so. My weaknesses. Okay. Very private and withdrawn. You're not telling me anything I didn't know. Insensitive. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Absent-minded. Yeah. Condescending. God, I hate that. I know I'm condescending and I can't help it. It just comes out, and I it's one of my least favorite traits, and sometimes I'll hear my voice back in my videos, and I'm like, wow, what a conceited jerk. And I'm not even saying anything bad, I just don't like the way I sound sometimes. Loathe rules and guidelines. What? These social struggles are partly a product of logicians' desire to bypass the rules. Oh, that I loathe rules and guidelines. Yeah, I would say so. I respect the rules to a certain degree until I don't. I don't think that's abnormal. Second guess themselves all the time. Oh, romantic relationships. That's... We'll see. We'll see what we got here. What do we have? Is this a list here? We got a big old paragraph thing. I'll do the introduction thing, because I don't want to spend my whole time reading this whole thing. There's a lot here. When it comes to romantic relationships, logicians have an interesting mixture of traits that often pleasantly surprise their partners. Oh, really? People with this personality type are always full of ideas, but they have few opportunities to explore their more romantic notions. As with any of their theories, logicians love sharing with others, and in finally meeting someone where romantic thoughts are appropriate, they show themselves to be excited, enthusiastic, and even playful, flirting with wordplay and intellectual games. I don't know, she's shaking her head. She says no. Okay, let's see what we got for friendships. I don't have a lot of friends. Just to let you know, I have a very I can count my group of friends on one hand. He's one of them. Many of the usual motivations for making friends, emotional support, social validation, shared routine, simply don't apply to logicians. More likely, these concepts are met with disdain. Oh, as people with logician personality types prize intellectual depth above all else. I don't know. I don't know if that works for me. I don't really want to be surrounded by people like me. Maybe this is... I don't know. It is not easy to become good friends with logicians. Okay, fair enough. But if there is a common interest and a common trait of thought, the connection is likely to spark instantly. Surprising everyone else who thought they had this distant personality type pegged. Okay, fair. I get that. I get that one. Let's see, Parenthood. I don't intend on having kids, but whatever. I'll read this first part. In parenting roles, as with many social roles, logicians find themselves facing a robust but healthy challenge. Not a naturally sensitive type. Yeah, logicians' personalities suggest... Sorry, I'm having trouble reading right now. Personalities struggle. I don't know how I saw suggest there. To identify with the raw emotions and irrationality that are often the standards with young children. Okay, I get that. We're going to move on. Career paths. I'm interested in that. That seems like fun. Logicians are solitary, eccentric, and independent. Okay. Do they have like a list of potential careers here? I don't see any. Am I doing this wrong? Maybe that's with the premium. Okay. None of which is listed as desirable for corporate positions, which are usually designed for very different personality types. Logicians, I have so much trouble saying logician. It doesn't sound right coming out of my mouth. Dually struggle in finding careers that meet their needs, but what they do bring, qualities in much higher demand, are creativity, a passion for theoretical methods and ideas, and an entrepreneurial, innovative spirit. Okay, that's fine. Does it have careers? Maybe I'll just look up logician careers after this. That should be fine. Workplace habits. Sure. The running theme for logicians is the desire for solitude, need for intellectual stimulation, and the satisfaction. Yeah, this is fine. I'm not really interested in that. What's next? Yeah, I want to see like what kind of people are logicians. I don't see it on here, so I am.
Did you scroll down?
I thought it did.
It's in the third.
Okay, this is what I was interested in. We have logicians you may know. I was looking for this and I wasn't finding it. You got to scroll down a little further, apparently. Silly me. We got Bill Gates. Cool. Kristen Stewart. She's the one from the Twilight movies. Albert Einstein. Cool. Stanley Crouch. Stanley Crouch. Isaac Newton. I'm sorry. Rene Descartes. I don't know him very well. Ellen Page. Blaise Pascal. I don't know that one. Lord Varys. Oh, that's Game of Thrones. Okay. Neo from The Matrix. Okay, here's the fun one. Marshall Finkman. Oh, Flinkman. Jeez. Bruce Banner. Oh, how fun. I haven't watched the Avengers movies, unfortunately. Aemon Targaryen. More Game of Thrones. There's a lot of Game of Thrones guys. Leslie Winkle. Big Bang Theory. Haven't watched it. Chloe O'Brien from 24. Alexander Mahone from Prison Break. Abed Nader from Community. I don't know. I haven't watched Community. Jack Ryan from the Jack Ryan series. Honestly, I'm kind of underwhelmed with the logicians you may know. Unfortunately. We got strengths and weaknesses. Do we have any other things at the bottom here? No. All right, I'm gonna browse through this stuff a little bit more, but there we go. And if you want to take this test, it's in the description box below. This isn't going to change any way that I look at my life. This has about as much meaning to me as reading my horoscope, I suppose. In some ways, it does hold up a mirror to me, because there are things that are definitely right about this stuff, but I don't think it's ever going to be perfect, because people are unique, and trying to categorize them and break them down to 4 or 5 letters, it's definitely a little bit of a difficult task. But yeah, it was fun. If you like this video, I'm going to be doing more stuff kind of like this on Saturdays going forward. And if you have any ideas for things you'd like me to check out, let me know in the comment section below. Thank you, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Later. Oof. How long?